Imagine waking up in the morning, looking in the mirror and smiling, not because your life is perfect, not because you have everything you want, but because you have finally found the greatest love story of your life, the one between you and yourself. For years, most of us are taught to put others first. We are taught to seek approval, to earn love, to please people even at the expense of our own peace. We sacrifice our needs to keep others happy, and in doing so, we silently abandon ourselves. This audiobook is not about selfishness, it's about self-preservation. It's about understanding that the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every relationship in your life. When you love yourself deeply, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop begging for love and start radiating it from within. Over the next 10 chapters, we will break down exactly how to fall in love with yourself. Not in a shallow way, but in the deepest, most unshakable way possible. You will learn to become your own source of comfort, validation, and joy. By the end, you won't just be in love with yourself. You will be unbreakable. Chapter 1: The Truth About Self-Love. Self-love is a phrase that has been tossed around a lot lately. It's become a buzzword in social media posts, wellness blogs, and motivational talks. But beneath all the surface-level talk, what does self-love really mean? Is it just about treating yourself to a fancy spa day or posting smiling selfies online? Or is there a deeper, more profound truth that many people miss? Today in this chapter we're going to uncover the real meaning of self-love and why it is one of the most powerful forces you can cultivate in your life. First, it's important to understand what self-love is not. Self-love is not narcissism. It's not about thinking you're better than everyone else or ignoring your flaws and weaknesses. Nor is it about living selfishly, ignoring the needs of others, or being boastful. True self-love is rooted in humility and honesty. It requires you to look at yourself clearly and accept all parts of you, the light and the dark, the strengths and the vulnerabilities. This kind of self-love is radical because it does not shy away from your imperfections. Instead, it embraces them as part of your unique human experience. One of the biggest myths about self-love is that it's selfish. Society often tells us that putting ourselves first is wrong, that we should sacrifice, be selfless, and always put others' needs above our own. While kindness and compassion for others are virtues, they become toxic if you neglect yourself in the process. When you do not love yourself, you live in a constant state of giving without refilling your own cup. You become exhausted, resentful, and disconnected from your true self. Real self-love is about balance. It means nourishing yourself so you have the strength and energy to genuinely care for others without losing yourself. The foundation of self-love is self-respect. When you love yourself, you set boundaries that protect your emotional and mental well-being. You say no to things that drain you or hurt you. You do not allow others to treat you disrespectfully or take advantage of your kindness. Loving yourself means recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. This is not arrogance. It is self-preservation. And the more you respect yourself, the more others will learn to respect you too. Self-love also transforms how you view mistakes and failures. When you love yourself deeply, you no longer judge yourself harshly or punish yourself for being imperfect. Instead, you see mistakes as opportunities for growth and learning. You give yourself grace and compassion, just as you would offer to a close friend going through a tough time. This shift from self-criticism to self-kindness can change your entire life because it frees you from the prison of shame and guilt. Many people struggle with self-love because they tie their worth to external achievements or the approval of others. They believe, if I am successful, if I look a certain way, if I am loved by this person, then I will finally feel worthy. But true self-love is unconditional. It does not depend on what you do or what others think of you. It is a quiet, steady sense of knowing that you are valuable simply because you exist. This is the foundation of confidence and inner peace. Cultivating self-love also changes your relationships. When you love yourself, you attract healthier, more authentic connections. You stop chasing relationships out of fear or loneliness. You no longer tolerate toxic behavior or settle for less than respect and kindness. Instead, you radiate a calm, grounded energy that invites others to show up as their true selves. Self-love becomes a beacon, guiding you to people and situations that nurture your growth and happiness. It's important to realize that self-love is a practice, not a destination. It's not something you either have or don't have. You can wake up some days feeling deeply connected to yourself, and other days feeling disconnected or insecure. That's normal. The key is to keep coming back to yourself again and again with patience and compassion. Over time, the small acts of self-love, whether it's choosing to rest, speaking kindly to yourself, or saying no, build up and transform your life in ways you might never have imagined. In this journey of learning to love yourself, you might face resistance. Old voices from your past or societal conditioning might tell you that self-love is selfish or undeserved. You might feel guilt or shame for putting yourself first. But remember, these are just stories that no longer serve you. As you build a deeper relationship with yourself, you will begin to rewrite these narratives and replace them with ones that empower and uplift you. As we move forward in this audiobook, keep this truth close to your heart. Self-love is not a luxury, it is a necessity. It is the soil from which confidence, resilience, and joy grow. It is the greatest gift you can give yourself, and by extension the greatest gift you can give to the world. Because when you learn to love yourself more than anyone else, you become a source of love, light, and healing for everything and everyone around you. Chapter 2: Breaking the Approval Addiction. From the moment we are born, we begin seeking approval. At first, it's simple: a smile from a parent, a comforting hug, a warm voice telling us, "Well done." These early moments teach us that approval equals safety, love, and belonging. But as we grow older, this natural desire to be accepted can twist into something much more dangerous: an addiction to approval from others. This addiction can quietly control our thoughts, our decisions, and ultimately, our sense of worth. We begin to measure our value by how much others like us, agree with us, or accept us. And in the process, we lose touch with the person who truly matters most: ourselves. Imagine how exhausting it is to live constantly performing for an audience that may never fully appreciate you. You might find yourself saying yes when you want to say no. You might hide your true feelings, your opinions, your quirks, all in an attempt to fit in and avoid rejection. Approval addiction drives you to wear masks, to suppress your needs, and to chase fleeting moments of acceptance like a thirsty traveler chasing mirages in the desert. But no matter how hard you try, this constant need for approval leaves you feeling empty, lost, and disconnected from your own soul. The root of approval addiction often lies in deep-seated fears: the fear of being alone, the fear of being judged, and the fear of not being good enough. These fears keep you trapped in a cycle of people-pleasing, where you sacrifice your peace to avoid conflict, rejection, or criticism. You might even find yourself bending your values or changing your personality just to gain approval from someone else. But this is a slow erosion of your identity. Every yes, given out of obligation, chips away at your authenticity and self-respect. To break free from this addiction, the first step is awareness. You need to recognize when and why you are seeking approval. Ask yourself, in what situations do I feel the strongest need to be accepted? Who are the people whose opinions affect me the most? How do I feel when I don't get the approval I crave? These questions help you uncover the triggers that make you rely on external validation instead of tuning into your own inner voice. Once you become aware of your approval patterns, you can begin the challenging yet liberating process of detaching your self-worth from others' opinions. This means learning to say no without guilt, expressing your true feelings even if it means risking rejection, and standing firm in your values no matter the pressure. It's about choosing your own peace over the temporary comfort of pleasing others. This is not an overnight transformation. It's a daily practice of courage and honesty with yourself. One powerful tool to help you in this journey is to develop self-validation. Self-validation means recognizing and honoring your own feelings, needs, and accomplishments without relying on external praise. Instead of asking, "Did I do well?" ask yourself, "How do I feel about what I did?" Celebrate your own wins privately, and comfort yourself in moments of struggle. The more you practice self-validation, the less you depend on outside approval to feel worthy. You may face resistance from the people around you when you start to break free from approval addiction. Some may accuse you of being selfish or distant because you no longer conform to their expectations. Remember, true self-love sometimes means disappointing others, but it never means betraying yourself. Those who truly care about you will respect your boundaries and support your growth, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Breaking the approval addiction also requires patience and compassion for yourself. You are rewiring years of conditioning and patterns that did their best to keep you safe. It's normal to relapse into old habits, to feel lonely, or to doubt your worth along the way. When this happens, don't beat yourself up. Instead, remind yourself that every step away from people-pleasing is a step toward your freedom and your truth. Finally, the reward for breaking free from approval addiction is profound. You begin to live authentically, in alignment with your deepest values and desires. You attract relationships that are based on mutual respect rather than obligation. You discover an inner strength that no external voice can shake. And most importantly, you start to love yourself, not because someone else told you to, but because you recognize your own undeniable value. This is the foundation for a lifetime of genuine happiness and peace. Chapter 3: Rewriting Your Inner Story. Every human being carries a story about who they are, a narrative shaped by years of experiences, relationships, and the voices they've absorbed, both loving and critical. This story lives in your mind, shaping your self-perception and influencing every decision you make. When the story is filled with doubt, unworthiness, or fear, it becomes a prison. But the truth is, your inner story is not set in stone. It is fluid, flexible, and most importantly, it can be rewritten. This chapter will guide you through the powerful process of reclaiming the author's pen in your own life and creating a story where you are worthy, loved, and whole. Many of us grew up absorbing messages that told us we were not enough. Maybe it was a parent's harsh words, a teacher's criticism, or bullying from peers. These repeated voices can create a powerful negative script inside our heads. A voice that says, "You're not smart enough, you're too much," or "You don't deserve happiness." This story can become so ingrained that we believe it without question. But what if I told you that those voices are echoes of the past and don't have to define your future? The first step in rewriting your story is to recognize those old messages for what they really are: outdated beliefs that no longer serve you. Rewriting your story begins with awareness. Start by paying attention to your internal dialogue. What are the recurring themes? What kind of language do you use when you talk to yourself? Often, the words we use are harsher than we would ever say to a loved one. Catch yourself in moments of self-criticism and ask, "Is this true? Would I say this to a dear friend?" The goal here is not to force yourself into blind positivity, but to build a foundation of honesty and compassion. When you treat your inner voice as a gentle guide instead of a ruthless judge, you open the door for transformation. Next, we must learn the art of reframing. Reframing means taking a negative or limiting belief and consciously shifting it into a perspective that empowers you. For example, if your inner story says, "I always fail," you can reframe this to, "I am learning and growing with every experience." Reframing doesn't mean ignoring reality. It means choosing to interpret your experiences in a way that builds your strength rather than tearing it down. This simple mental shift can change how you feel about yourself and the world around you. Healing from past wounds is also crucial in rewriting your inner story. Trauma, rejection, and painful memories create cracks in our self-esteem that can distort how we see ourselves. Healing doesn't mean forgetting or pretending the pain didn't happen. It means facing it with courage, understanding how it shaped your beliefs, and gently releasing the hold it has over you. This can be done through journaling, therapy, meditation, or simply talking to someone who listens without judgment. When you heal those old wounds, you make space for a new, kinder story to grow. Self-compassion is the heart of rewriting your inner story. It means treating yourself with the same kindness and patience you offer others. When you stumble or make mistakes, instead of beating yourself up, you say, "It's okay. I'm human. I'm learning." This compassionate voice gradually replaces the harsh critic and becomes the foundation for self-love. Remember, the goal is not perfection but progress. Loving yourself through your imperfections is the most powerful way to rewrite your story. Another important step is to surround yourself with affirmations that reinforce your new story. Affirmations are positive statements that speak to the truth you want to embody. When you repeat affirmations like, "I am worthy of love," "I am enough," or "I am growing stronger every day," you train your brain to accept these truths as real. Affirmations work best when paired with belief and repetition. Say them daily, write them down, and let them become the soundtrack of your inner world. Rewriting your story also means choosing the people and environments that support your new narrative. Toxic relationships, negative influences, and harmful environments act like anchors that pull you back into old patterns. Seek out connections that uplift, challenge, and encourage you to grow. Surround yourself with stories, books, and media that inspire and align with the person you want to become. Your environment has a powerful effect on your mindset, so curate it thoughtfully. Visualization is a powerful tool for story rewriting. Close your eyes and imagine the person you want to be, the confident, loved, and worthy you. Picture yourself acting with kindness, speaking with courage, and living fully. Visualization programs your subconscious mind to accept this new story as reality. The more vivid and emotional your visualization, the stronger its impact. Make it a daily practice, a ritual that reminds you that your new story is already unfolding. Finally, be patient with yourself. Rewriting your inner story is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong practice. Old beliefs will try to sneak back in and doubts will arise, but each time you choose your new story, you reinforce your power. Celebrate small victories along the way. Every moment you treat yourself with love and kindness is a chapter added to your forever story. Remember, you are the author of your life, and the story you tell yourself today creates the life you live tomorrow. Chapter 4: The Power of Boundaries. Loving yourself means protecting your energy, your peace, and your emotional well-being. One of the most powerful ways to do this is by setting boundaries. Boundaries are not walls that isolate you from others. Rather, they are filters, gatekeepers that decide what or who gets in and what stays out. When you set clear boundaries, you create a safe space where you can thrive without sacrificing yourself to please or accommodate everyone around you. It is important to understand that boundaries are an act of self-love. They communicate to the world, I value myself enough to say what I will and will not accept. And once you truly internalize this, your relationships, your confidence, and your mental health all begin to transform. Most of us have been conditioned to believe that saying no is selfish or rude. We fear disappointing others or causing conflict, so we say yes, even when it drains us. But here's a truth you must hear. Every time you say yes to something that violates your boundaries, you are saying no to your own well-being. Boundaries are the essential limits that protect your time, your values, your energy, and your emotions. They help you preserve your authenticity and prevent burnout, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Learning to say no gracefully and without guilt is a foundational step toward loving yourself more than anyone else. Emotional vampires, energy drainers, and toxic relationships thrive when boundaries are weak or non-existent. These are the people who take from you without giving back, who expect your availability without consideration, and who disrespect your limits. Setting boundaries does not mean cutting people off immediately. It means recognizing when a relationship is unbalanced and taking the steps necessary to preserve your peace. It might mean limiting time spent with certain individuals, refusing to engage in toxic conversations, or clearly communicating your needs and expectations. This process takes courage because it challenges old patterns and fears of abandonment, but it's an essential part of honoring yourself. A critical aspect of boundary setting is learning to listen to your own body and emotions. Your body gives you constant signals when something is off: tightness in the chest, headaches, exhaustion, irritability. These are your internal alarms warning you that your boundaries have been crossed or ignored. Self-love means tuning into these signals and acting on them. It means trusting yourself enough to recognize when a situation or relationship is harmful and taking immediate steps to protect yourself. Ignoring these signs often leads to emotional pain and deep resentment toward both yourself and others. Boundaries also require consistency. It's not enough to set a boundary once and then allow it to be broken repeatedly. Loving yourself means committing to those boundaries firmly. When someone crosses a boundary, you have to remind them, reinforce your limits, and if necessary, distance yourself. This consistency teaches others how to treat you and reinforces your own sense of worth. Remember, every boundary you maintain is a declaration that you deserve respect and kindness. It is not about controlling others, it is about controlling how much influence you allow over your life. The fear of rejection or abandonment often holds people back from establishing boundaries. You might worry that people will get upset, leave, or judge you. But here's an important insight: The people who truly care for you will respect your boundaries because they want you to be well. Those who don't respect your boundaries often reveal themselves as unhealthy influences in your life. Setting boundaries is a filter for the kind of relationships you want to nurture. Relationships based on mutual respect, understanding, and care. Loving yourself means choosing quality over quantity in the people you allow into your life. Setting boundaries is also an act of reclaiming your power. For many of us, especially those who grew up in environments where our needs were ignored or minimized, boundaries can feel foreign or even selfish. But establishing them is reclaiming your voice and your right to exist on your own terms. It is saying loudly and clearly that your needs, your feelings, and your time are just as important as anyone else's. This shift is liberating and empowering, and it's a sign of profound self-love. When you protect your boundaries, you protect your energy and create space for healing and growth. Communicating your boundaries clearly and kindly is just as important as setting them. Boundaries are not walls built in anger or defensiveness but are invitations to others to treat you with respect. You don't have to be harsh or confrontational. Simply stating your limits with confidence and calmness is often enough. For example, "I need some time to recharge, so I won't be available tonight," or "I prefer not to discuss that topic." Practicing these phrases may feel uncomfortable at first, but the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Clear communication creates healthy expectations and reduces misunderstandings. Remember that boundaries apply to all areas of your life: emotional, physical, mental, and even digital. Saying no to social media overwhelm, refusing to engage in toxic gossip, protecting your physical space, and honoring your mental health are all valid boundaries. Self-love means recognizing where your limits lie in every domain and standing firm in them. Each boundary you honor is a brick in the foundation of a healthier, more loving relationship with yourself. Finally, setting and maintaining boundaries is a journey, not a one-time event. You will make mistakes, feel guilty, or even regress at times, and that is okay. Self-love means giving yourself grace in this process. It means learning from experiences, adjusting your boundaries as needed, and celebrating every step you take toward honoring yourself more fully. The power of boundaries is the power to protect your sacred self and create a life where your peace and happiness come first. This chapter is your invitation to embrace that power and take back control of your life with love and courage. Chapter 5. Falling in love with your own company. Many people live in constant fear of being alone. They associate solitude with loneliness, boredom, or even failure. Society often reinforces the idea that being alone means something is wrong, that you must always be surrounded by others to be happy or successful. But the truth is, the relationship you have with yourself during moments of solitude is the foundation of your entire emotional well-being. When you learn to love your own company, you unlock a powerful source of peace, creativity, and fulfillment that no external relationship can provide. Falling in love with your own company starts with redefining what solitude means to you. It is not punishment or isolation. It is a gift. It is a chance to reconnect with your inner world without distractions or expectations. In these moments, you can hear your true thoughts, feel your deepest emotions, and remember who you are beneath the noise of daily life. This sacred time allows you to build a friendship with yourself based on curiosity, kindness, and understanding. One of the first steps to embracing your alone time is creating rituals that make solitude enjoyable. It could be something as simple as preparing a favorite cup of tea and sitting by a window, journaling your thoughts, or taking a walk in nature. These small acts become invitations to be present with yourself and discover joy in the simplest moments. Over time, these rituals strengthen your bond with yourself and create a sanctuary where you can recharge and heal. It's important to notice the internal dialogue that surfaces when you are alone. Often, we carry harsh self-judgments or feelings of inadequacy that become louder in silence. When you start spending more time alone, these voices can seem overwhelming at first. But instead of running away or distracting yourself, try to listen without judgment. Approach these thoughts like a compassionate friend would, acknowledging the pain behind them. This process is essential for healing and learning to truly accept yourself. Another powerful practice is cultivating hobbies or passions that you can enjoy solo. Whether it's painting, reading, gardening, or learning a musical instrument, These activities enrich your inner world and give you something to look forward to during your alone time. They also allow you to express yourself authentically and build confidence. When you invest in your interests, you communicate to yourself that you are worth the time and attention you give. Many people confuse being alone with loneliness because they haven't yet developed this inner connection. But loneliness is the painful feeling of disconnection, while solitude is the joyful experience of being whole within yourself. The more you practice loving your own company, the more you will find that you are never truly alone. You are with your own spirit, your own heartbeat, your own unique essence. This shift changes your entire perception of life. Falling in love with yourself also means forgiving yourself for past mistakes and letting go of the need for external validation. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to nurture self-compassion and silence the inner critic. Remember, the relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. If you fill yourself with love and acceptance, you naturally attract healthier connections and make choices that honor your well-being. In moments of solitude, you also develop emotional independence. This doesn't mean shutting others out, it means learning that your happiness and peace are not dependent on anyone else. This freedom is incredibly empowering. When you rely on yourself first, you become less vulnerable to heartbreak, rejection, or disappointment. You carry your own light and you can shine it even when no one else is around. If you struggle with being alone, start small. Dedicate just 5 minutes a day to sit quietly with yourself. No phone, no distractions, no obligations. Observe your breath, your thoughts, your feelings. As this practice grows, extend the time and create a space that feels safe and welcoming. Celebrate the small victories of showing up for yourself and notice how your relationship with solitude deepens and transforms. Ultimately, learning to love your own company is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It lays the foundation for unshakable self-love and resilience. It allows you to be whole and complete without depending on external factors. When you become your own best friend, you open the door to a life filled with peace, joy, and endless possibility, because the most important love story is the one you create with yourself. Chapter 6: The Mirror Work Method. There is something incredibly powerful about looking into your own eyes and speaking directly to the person staring back at you. It may sound simple or even strange at first, but this practice, known as mirror work, is one of the most profound tools for building self-love. When you engage in mirror work consistently, you start rewiring your brain to accept yourself, flaws and all. You break through years of self-criticism and doubt, replacing it with compassion and kindness that comes from within. The reason mirror work is so effective is because our brains are wired to respond to visual and verbal feedback. When you look at yourself in the mirror and speak positive affirmations, you are sending a direct message to your subconscious. Over time, your brain begins to accept these affirmations as truth. This can be a radical shift if you've spent much of your life believing negative things about yourself. Mirror work helps you retrain those old thought patterns by engaging both your eyes and ears, your most honest self-witnesses. Starting mirror work can feel awkward or uncomfortable. You may find yourself wanting to look away or even feeling resistance to speaking kind words to yourself. This is perfectly normal. Many people carry deep wounds and insecurities that make facing themselves in the mirror difficult. But the fact that it feels uncomfortable is exactly why it is so important. Growth and healing happen in the discomfort. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to hold your own gaze with love and acceptance. To begin, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Stand in front of a mirror, preferably one that reflects your face clearly. Look deeply into your eyes, the windows to your soul. Take a deep breath and begin by simply saying, "I love you." It might feel strange at first, but repeat it gently, allowing the words to sink in. Then move on to affirmations that feel true for you, phrases like "I am worthy," "I deserve happiness," or "I accept myself completely." The key is to speak slowly and with intention, truly feeling each word. Mirror work is not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring your flaws. It's about acknowledging your whole self with honesty and compassion. If you notice feelings of shame, anger, or sadness rising up, welcome those emotions without judgment. Sometimes the mirror reveals wounds we've hidden even from ourselves. Let your gaze be tender, as you would hold the hand of a loved one going through pain. This tender acceptance is the heart of self-love. The power of mirror work lies in its consistency. 1 or 2 sessions might not create immediate change, but when practiced daily, starting with just 1 to 5 minutes a day, something magical happens. Your brain starts to unlearn the harsh judgments it has carried and replaces them with supportive, loving beliefs. You become your own source of encouragement instead of relying on external approval. Over time, this practice will transform the way you see yourself, building an unshakable foundation of self-love. Many people use affirmations in mirror work, but not all affirmations are equally effective. The most powerful affirmations are those that feel authentic and meaningful to you personally. For example, instead of a generic phrase like, "I am perfect," try something like, "I am enough exactly as I am." You can also create affirmations tailored to specific areas of your life where you struggle, such as, "I forgive myself for past mistakes," or, "I am learning to trust my own path." The important thing is that these words resonate deeply within you. Mirror work can also be combined with other self-love practices, like journaling or meditation, to deepen its impact. After each mirror session, consider writing down any thoughts or feelings that came up. This helps you track your progress and uncover hidden beliefs that may need more healing. Some people find it helpful to end the practice with a few moments of quiet meditation, focusing on the feeling of love and kindness they have cultivated toward themselves. Finally, remember that mirror work is a lifelong journey, not a quick fix. Some days, looking into your eyes and speaking kindly will come easily. Other days it may feel like a battle. But with patience and persistence, this simple yet profound practice can become a cornerstone of your self-love. It reconnects you with the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with yourself. And that love, once found, will light your path for the rest of your life. Chapter 7: Healing from Self-Betrayal. Self-betrayal is one of the deepest wounds we can experience in life because it comes from within. It's the silent fracture between who you say you are and how you actually treat yourself. Every time you ignore your own needs, break your promises, or put yourself last, you chip away at the foundation of trust you have with yourself. And without that trust, self-love becomes nearly impossible. Healing self-betrayal begins with recognizing that this fracture exists, and then making the courageous choice to rebuild what has been broken. When you betray yourself, it often starts small. Maybe it's skipping a moment of rest because you feel you should work harder. Maybe it's saying yes to others when your body or soul is screaming no. Or perhaps it's ignoring your intuition because you doubt your own judgment. These small acts accumulate over time like invisible cracks in a mirror, until one day you realize the reflection staring back at you feels fragmented, distant, even unfamiliar. Healing means slowly and patiently repairing these cracks, piece by piece. One of the most powerful ways to begin healing self-betrayal is to start keeping promises to yourself, no matter how small. This could be as simple as committing to drinking enough water each day or setting aside 5 minutes for deep breathing. When you follow through on these small commitments, you are training your inner self to trust you again. Trust is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, these tiny victories accumulate, creating a profound shift in how you relate to yourself. Another key step in healing is learning to listen deeply to your inner voice, your intuition. Self-betrayal often happens because we silence or doubt that voice. You might tell yourself, "I'm just being paranoid," or, "It's not a big deal," when your gut is trying to protect you. Healing requires practicing radical honesty with yourself. When your intuition whispers a warning or a need, honor it. The more you tune in, the clearer and louder your inner voice becomes, guiding you toward choices that align with your true self. Healing from self-betrayal also means forgiving yourself for the times you've let yourself down. This can be the hardest part because we are often our own harshest critics. But forgiveness is not about excusing poor choices. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of guilt and shame that keeps you trapped in the past. Speak to yourself as you would a dear friend, with kindness, patience, and understanding. Remember, every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. It's also important to recognize patterns that lead to self-betrayal. Do you tend to sacrifice your well-being to gain approval? Do you ignore your needs to avoid conflict? Awareness is the first step to change. Journaling can help uncover these patterns by allowing you to reflect honestly on your actions and feelings. Once you identify the habits that hurt you, you can begin to replace them with healthier choices rooted in self-respect. Setting boundaries plays a crucial role in healing self-betrayal. When you say yes to everything and everyone, you dilute your energy and your sense of self-worth. Learning to say no is not selfish, it's an act of self-love. Boundaries protect you from emotional exhaustion and remind you that your time and feelings are valuable. Practice setting clear, firm boundaries in your relationships and watch how your self-trust grows. Healing also involves nurturing your inner child, the part of you that may have been hurt, neglected, or ignored. This inner child carries the emotional wounds that can lead to self-betrayal. Through compassionate self-care practices such as meditation, affirmations, or creative expression, you can offer this vulnerable part of yourself the love and reassurance it needs. When your inner child feels safe and seen, you strengthen your overall sense of self-worth. Remember that healing from self-betrayal is not a linear process. There will be days when you feel strong and others when doubt creeps back in. This is natural and part of the journey. What matters most is your commitment to yourself, to keep returning to love, forgiveness, and honesty. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a triumph over the voices that once told you that you were not enough. Finally, know this: healing self-betrayal transforms your relationship with yourself in profound ways. It allows you to become your own ally, your own advocate, and your own safe haven. As you rebuild trust with yourself, you create a foundation of unwavering self-love that nothing external can shake. This healing is a gift you give to yourself, one that opens the door to a life lived with confidence, peace, and authentic joy. Chapter 8: Choosing You in Every Decision. When it comes to self-love, one of the most powerful practices you can adopt is to choose yourself in every decision you make. This doesn't mean you become selfish or indifferent to others. Rather, it means that your own well-being, happiness, and respect for yourself become the guiding lights for every choice, big or small, that you face. Choosing you is about honoring your values, needs, and dreams above the noise of outside pressures and expectations. It's about setting a new standard for how you deserve to be treated, starting with how you treat yourself. Every day we make hundreds of decisions: what to eat, who to spend time with, how to spend our energy, what goals to pursue, and how to speak to ourselves. Most of the time, we unconsciously allow other people's opinions, cultural expectations, or fears to steer those decisions. But when you learn to choose you first, you reclaim your power and direct your life in alignment with your authentic self. This is how you build a life that feels good to live, a life that you can be proud of, and a life where your self-love is visible in every action. Choosing you requires awareness. It asks you to pause and ask yourself a simple but profound question before any decision. Does this choice honor me? If the answer is yes, even if it feels difficult, then that choice is aligned with self-love. If the answer is no, if it drains you, compromises your boundaries, or diminishes your worth, then it's a signal to reconsider and redirect. This question becomes a compass, helping you navigate the complex web of life's options with clarity and confidence. One of the hardest parts of choosing you is learning to say no. Saying no to invitations, favors, toxic relationships, or even old habits can feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry about disappointing others or being seen as selfish. But every no you give to something that does not serve your highest good is a strong yes to your own peace and growth. Saying no is a powerful boundary that protects your energy and preserves your self-respect. Remember, every time you say no to something that harms you, you are saying yes to yourself. Choosing you also means breaking free from self-sabotage. Many of us have internalized limiting beliefs or fears that cause us to make decisions that hurt rather than help us. You might settle for less in relationships, take on too much work, or neglect your health because you think you don't deserve better. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward change. When you catch yourself making a choice rooted in fear, guilt, or self-doubt, pause. Breathe. And remind yourself that your highest obligation is to honor and love yourself. Every decision you make is a brick in the foundation of your self-love. Choosing unhealthy food, skipping self-care, or tolerating disrespect chips away at your self-worth. But choosing nourishing meals, rest, joy, and respect builds you up. It reinforces the message that you matter, that your happiness matters, and that you are worthy of the best. One of the most powerful ways to begin healing self-betrayal is to start keeping promises to yourself, no matter how small. This could be as simple as committing to drinking enough water each day or setting aside 5 minutes for deep breathing. When you follow through on these small commitments, you are training your inner self to trust you again. Trust is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Over time, these tiny victories accumulate, creating a profound shift in how you relate to yourself. Another key step in healing is learning to listen deeply to your inner voice, your intuition. Self-betrayal often happens because we silence or doubt that voice. You might tell yourself, "I'm just being paranoid," or "it's not a big deal," when your gut is trying to protect you. Healing requires practicing radical honesty with yourself. When your intuition whispers a warning or a need, honor it. The more you tune in, the clearer and louder your inner voice becomes, guiding you toward choices that align with your true self. Healing from self-betrayal also means forgiving yourself for the times you've let yourself down. This can be the hardest part because we are often our own harshest critics. But forgiveness is not about excusing poor choices. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of guilt and shame that keeps you trapped in the past. Speak to yourself as you would a dear friend, with kindness, patience, and understanding. Remember, every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. It's also important to recognize patterns that lead to self-betrayal. Do you tend to sacrifice your well-being to gain approval? Do you ignore your needs to avoid conflict? Awareness is the first step to change. Journaling can help uncover these patterns by allowing you to reflect honestly on your actions and feelings. Once you identify the habits that hurt you, you can begin to replace them with healthier choices rooted in self-respect. Setting boundaries plays a crucial role in healing self-betrayal. When you say yes to everything and everyone, you dilute your energy and your sense of self-worth. Learning to say no is not selfish, it's an act of self-love. Boundaries protect you from emotional exhaustion and remind you that your time and feelings are valuable. Practice setting clear, firm boundaries in your relationships and watch how your self-trust grows. Healing also involves nurturing your inner child, the part of you that may have been hurt, neglected, or ignored. This inner child carries the emotional wounds that can lead to self-betrayal. Through compassionate self-care practices such as meditation, affirmations, or creative expression, you can offer this vulnerable part of yourself the love and reassurance it needs. When your inner child feels safe and seen, you strengthen your overall sense of self-worth. Remember that healing from self-betrayal is not a linear process. There will be days when you feel strong and others when doubt creeps back in. This is natural and part of the journey. What matters most is your commitment to yourself, to keep returning to love, forgiveness, and honesty. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a triumph over the voices that once told you that you were not enough. Finally, know this: healing self-betrayal transforms your relationship with yourself in profound ways. It allows you to become your own ally, your own advocate, and your own safe haven. As you rebuild trust with yourself, you create a foundation of unwavering self-love that nothing external can shake. This healing is a gift you give to yourself, one that opens the door to a life lived with confidence, peace, and authentic joy. Chapter 8: Choosing You in Every Decision. When it comes to self-love, one of the most powerful practices you can adopt is to choose yourself in every decision you make. This doesn't mean you become selfish or indifferent to others. Rather, it means that your own well-being, happiness, and respect for yourself become the guiding lights for every choice, big or small, that you face. Choosing you is about honoring your values, needs, and dreams above the noise of outside pressures and expectations. It's about setting a new standard for how you deserve to be treated, starting with how you treat yourself. Every day we make hundreds of decisions: what to eat, who to spend time with, how to spend our energy, what goals to pursue, and how to speak to ourselves. Most of the time, we unconsciously allow other people's opinions, cultural expectations, or fears to steer those decisions. But when you learn to choose you first, you reclaim your power and direct your life in alignment with your authentic self. This is how you build a life that feels good to live, a life that you can be proud of, and a life where your self-love is visible in every action. Choosing you requires awareness. It asks you to pause and ask yourself a simple but profound question before any decision. Does this choice honor me? If the answer is yes, even if it feels difficult, then that choice is aligned with self-love. If the answer is no, if it drains you, compromises your boundaries, or diminishes your worth, then it's a signal to reconsider and redirect. This question becomes a compass, helping you navigate the complex web of life's options with clarity and confidence. One of the hardest parts of choosing you is learning to say no. Saying no to invitations, favors, toxic relationships, or even old habits can feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry about disappointing others or being seen as selfish. But every no you give to something that does not serve your highest good is a strong yes to your own peace and growth. Saying no is a powerful boundary that protects your energy and preserves your self-respect. Remember, every time you say no to something that harms you, you are saying yes to yourself. Choosing you also means breaking free from self-sabotage. Many of us have internalized limiting beliefs or fears that cause us to make decisions that hurt rather than help us. You might settle for less in relationships, take on too much work, or neglect your health because you think you don't deserve better. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward change. When you catch yourself making a choice rooted in fear, guilt, or self-doubt, pause. Breathe. And remind yourself that your highest obligation is to honor and love yourself. Every decision you make is a brick in the foundation of your self-love. Choosing unhealthy food, skipping self-care, or tolerating disrespect chips away at your self-worth. But choosing nourishing meals, rest, joy, and respect builds you up. It reinforces the message that you matter, that your happiness matters, and that you are worthy of the best. It might seem small at the moment, but over time, these daily choices accumulate into a powerful legacy of self-love and respect. It is also important to acknowledge that choosing you does not mean you will always choose the easiest path. Sometimes, choosing you means choosing growth over comfort, setting boundaries that cause conflict, or walking away from familiar but unhealthy situations. These moments can be painful and challenging, but they are essential. True self-love is brave. It asks you to stand in your truth, even if it means facing discomfort or loneliness. Remember, choosing you is an act of courage that leads to freedom. Surrounding yourself with people who respect your decisions is a vital part of choosing you. When you commit to your own well-being, you may lose some connections that thrived on your previous patterns of people-pleasing or self-neglect. That's okay. Real love, whether from friends, family, or partners, supports and honors your choices. Choosing you often means choosing relationships that uplift and inspire you, while releasing those that drain or diminish your spirit. In practicing choosing you in every decision, it helps to create rituals or reminders to keep you grounded. You might journal your intentions each morning, repeat affirmations like, "I choose what honors me," or set aside quiet moments to check in with yourself before making major choices. These habits strengthen your connection to your inner wisdom and build trust in your ability to prioritize yourself without guilt. Ultimately, choosing you is the greatest gift you can give yourself. It shifts your life from reacting to others' needs to proactively crafting a reality where your happiness and health are front and center. When you commit to choosing you, you unlock a deep, unshakable love that no external event can take away. Your life becomes a reflection of that love, and that, truly, is the essence of learning to love yourself more than anyone else. Chapter 9, Becoming Unshakable. Becoming unshakable is not about building a fortress around your heart to keep the world out. It is about cultivating an inner strength so profound that no external circumstance can diminish your sense of worth. When you love yourself deeply, you develop a foundation that no storm can shake. This foundation allows you to face life's inevitable challenges, not with fear or despair, but with calm confidence and grace. The journey to becoming unshakable starts with accepting that pain, rejection, and failure are part of being human, but they do not define you. Most people spend their lives seeking validation from others, tying their sense of self to the fluctuating opinions and moods of those around them. This leaves them vulnerable to heartbreak and disappointment because their identity is external, fragile, and constantly shifting. But when you root your identity in self-love, you no longer rely on others to tell you who you are. Instead, you become the unmovable witness to your own worth. This shift in perspective creates a resilience that transforms setbacks into lessons rather than wounds. Emotional resilience is the cornerstone of becoming unshakable. It means learning to feel your feelings fully without being overwhelmed or controlled by them. When you love yourself, You give yourself permission to experience pain and sadness without judgment. You sit with discomfort long enough to understand it and then gently guide yourself back to a place of peace. This balance between feeling deeply and maintaining inner stability is what makes you strong. Resilience doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means embracing them without losing your center. Self-forgiveness is another vital ingredient in this process. Often we become our own harshest critics, punishing ourselves for mistakes, regrets, and perceived failures. This inner cruelty chips away at our confidence and makes us brittle. Learning to forgive yourself, truly and deeply, is an act of radical self-love. It frees you from the chains of guilt and shame and allows you to move forward with compassion and understanding. Remember, you are human and imperfection is part of your beauty and growth. Becoming unshakable also means detaching your happiness from external outcomes. When you tie your joy to success, relationships, or material things, you hand over your emotional power to factors beyond your control. But self-love teaches you to cultivate a steady source of joy that comes from within. This internal wellspring of happiness is independent of circumstances. It is rooted in gratitude, self-acceptance, and a deep knowing that you are enough regardless of what happens outside of you. Another key practice in building unshakable self-love is setting healthy emotional boundaries. You protect your peace by choosing who and what you allow into your inner world. This means saying no to toxic people, unhealthy environments, and situations that drain your energy. It also means surrounding yourself with positive influences that uplift and inspire you. Boundaries are not walls but filters that keep your heart safe and your spirit free to flourish. The art of finding light in dark moments is what separates the truly unshakable from the temporarily strong. Life will bring trials, loss, disappointment, betrayal, and how you respond to these moments will define your strength. When you love yourself, you learn to seek the lessons hidden within pain. You find gratitude even in struggle and understand that every challenge is an opportunity to grow and become more compassionate. This mindset shift transforms suffering into empowerment. To become unshakable, it is essential to cultivate mindfulness and presence. When your mind is caught in worries about the future or regrets about the past, you become vulnerable to anxiety and despair. But by grounding yourself in the present moment, you anchor your awareness to what is real and true now. Mindfulness helps you observe your thoughts and emotions without being swept away by them. This clarity strengthens your emotional armor and reinforces your love for yourself. Remember also that becoming unshakable is a journey, not a destination. Some days will be harder than others. You might feel fragile or doubt your worth. This is normal. Self-love is not perfection but persistence. It is showing up for yourself every day even when it's difficult. It is a commitment to honoring your needs, nurturing your soul, and believing in your inherent goodness no matter the obstacles. Finally, becoming unshakable means living as your own safe place. When you love yourself unconditionally, you no longer need to seek refuge in others. You become your own sanctuary, a source of comfort, strength, and peace. This self-reliance is liberating. It means you can weather any storm, face any hardship, and come out stronger on the other side. You are no longer at the mercy of the world, you are the master of your own inner universe. Chapter 10, The Forever Love Story. Loving yourself is not a destination you arrive at, nor is it a momentary feeling you catch like a passing breeze. It is a lifelong relationship, a continuous journey that evolves and deepens over time. Just like any meaningful love story, it requires attention, patience, and care. It's about showing up for yourself every single day, even on days when you feel tired, broken, or unworthy. This chapter is your guide to committing to yourself forever, because the greatest love you will ever experience is the one you give to yourself. When you decide to love yourself unconditionally, you enter into a sacred contract, a vow to honor your soul no matter what. This means forgiving yourself for past mistakes, embracing your flaws without shame, and celebrating your unique light. It's important to understand that loving yourself is not about perfection. It is about embracing imperfection with grace. You will stumble. You will fall. But you will always rise again because your love for yourself is stronger than any failure or setback. To maintain this forever love story, you must cultivate rituals that nurture your spirit daily. These rituals can be simple, waking up with gratitude, practicing mindful breathing, journaling your emotions, or setting clear boundaries with those who drain your energy. These small acts of self-care are the threads that weave a strong foundation of self-love. They are the gentle reminders that your happiness depends on how well you treat yourself, not on the approval or validation of others. Remember, self-love is a choice you make moment by moment. When faced with a tough decision, pause and ask yourself, what does loving myself look like here? This question will become your compass, guiding you toward choices that reflect your worth and honor your needs. Sometimes, loving yourself means saying no, stepping away, or simply resting. Other times, it means challenging your fears, pushing through discomfort, or seeking growth. Whatever the situation, always choose the path that feels most loving to your heart. One of the most profound parts of this journey is learning to be your own best friend. There will be moments when you feel lonely or vulnerable, and that's okay. In those moments, turn inward and offer yourself kindness, understanding, and compassion. Speak to yourself with the same tenderness you would offer to a beloved friend. This practice of self-companionship transforms loneliness into sacred solitude and builds an unbreakable bond with yourself. As your love for yourself deepens, you'll notice that your relationship with the world shifts dramatically. You will no longer tolerate toxic environments or people who diminish your light. You will attract relationships that honor your boundaries and celebrate your authenticity. Loving yourself first acts like a powerful magnet, drawing in the respect, kindness, and love you truly deserve. It creates a ripple effect, touching every part of your life. But what happens when you face doubt, fear, or moments of self-criticism? This is where your forever love story demands courage. You must choose to believe in yourself even when your mind wants to tell you otherwise. Remember that the harshest critic you have ever faced has been you, and it's time to rewrite that narrative. Replace the voice of judgment with one of encouragement and hope. Let your love for yourself become louder than your inner doubts. In this lifelong commitment, patience is your greatest ally. Growth does not happen overnight, and healing is rarely linear. There will be days when you feel you have taken 2 steps back, but those moments are part of the process. Be gentle with yourself in those times. Celebrate progress, no matter how small, and remind yourself that every effort counts. Your love story with yourself is built on consistency, not perfection. Visualize your future self, the person who loves themselves fiercely and unconditionally. Picture how they walk through life, confident, radiant, and free. That future self is already inside you, waiting to be unleashed. The choices you make today, choosing kindness over criticism, self-care over neglect, and acceptance over resistance, are the seeds that will grow into that radiant being. So, as you close this chapter in this audiobook, make a vow to yourself right now. Promise to nurture this love for yourself no matter what life brings. Promise to protect your peace and honor your worth every single day. Because this forever love story is the foundation upon which every other relationship in your life will thrive. You are worthy. You are enough. And you deserve the deepest, truest love, from yourself first and always.